Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Deiser Connection. How you doing? I hope you're doing well and I hope that you're doing great. Today's episode is really special. We have reached that point in time where Atlassian warned us that their server products, server apps, etc. were reaching the end of life. They were meeting their end of life. What does this mean? We've talked about this many times, and this means that those products, Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, etc. in server will no longer be supported or will no longer have any updates. So this has been a really long journey since they announced it. They announced it back in 2020, and it's already 2024. It's February 15th, 2024. At the moment of recording these videos, we're just mere hours away, from that server end of life. And it's a little bit of a mixed feelings event, because I don't know about you, but I learned everything about Jira and Confluence in server. I've worked in server a lot. I've supported Deiser clients, apps clients in server. We developed apps for server, and everything that I know now is because of server. Then, we can move it to the cloud, and it's a little bit of the same. It's similar, but it's not the same. And it's crazy. It's been a really long journey. We have read several posts. We have read a lot of activities that were going on around this end of life of server, and we have seen different evolutions and different actions that not only Atlassian took, but other marketplace partners, other solution partners. For example, the migrating to cloud was one of the biggest claims in this end of server. Then, there's another way that you can solve this end of life of server and just migrate to data center. Data center, it's like server's younger sibling, younger brother, younger sister, but it's stronger, and it's more capable to do several stuff, other stuff, and that's pretty cool. That's nice, but server will no longer be supported, and it's a little bit sad, and we're happy that we reached this point, because at some point I bet that there's a lot of people that do not want to talk about it anymore. But let's see what the future holds for this, because there's talks, there's people talk, and we expect a lot of stuff, to happen in this ecosystem, in this Atlassian ecosystem, and let's see what the future holds. Some of them say that data center is going to be next. It's going to take some years also. But one thing is for certain, and the Atlassian cloud is the way to go right now. So long, server, and thank you very much for all the fish, as you might say. Thank you very much, and for all the trainings, all those sessions, all of trying to find bugs in our apps in Jira, and thank you very much for all that. It's a kind of mixed feelings moment. So it's okay. So this episode is not gonna be too long, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what I thought every time that I was thinking about the countdown for the server end of life. I imagined similarities and maybe analogies with other things that I probably read, or maybe played in video games, or even watched in movies. But let's go to the other page, and let me show you a little bit more of this, end of life of server. Okay, so as you can see, we've been to this page several times. I have shown you this page several times already. The support of server products end February 15th. We're hours away from that. It's 7 hours away from the end of server live. 7 hours, 6 minutes, and 10 seconds now. That's crazy. It's cool. I hope nothing explodes, and there's no problems at all. But I believe that there's a lot of people working right now, because time grabbed them by the hairs. Let me just say, and they might be working on some kind of migration, some kind of problem solving actions, about this. And it's good. Well, Atlassian has a lot of information about what you can do with about this, migrate to cloud or upgrade to data center. There's also a timeline, that what I was telling before, they announced it back in 2020, February 2nd, 2021, server license sales ended, in 22, almost a little bit, a few days, a year and a few days later, tier upgrades, and downgrades ended, a year later, server app sales ended. We stopped selling, as a marketplace partner, we stopped selling server apps. We just did upgrades, and in upgrades, sorry, we just did upgrades. We just renewed those licenses. There were no more new licenses, and and today we've reached February 15th. Support for server ends. There's a lot of information. There's much information already written. We've read this information. We've worked on migration guidance and resources for everyone to be up to date with this. This is important, and I really suggest, I strongly suggest you go into Atlassian.com, and check out all that information that you have in that webpage, in order to find more information about migration. So, as I said before, I could find a few analogies, just, I don't know, there's some stuff that I always remembered, sometimes some things that came to mind when thinking about support of server products ending, and this kind of countdown, because this is a countdown, we've been following this countdown, this right here, we've been following it for years now. So there's when the countdown reaches a certain point, you expect things to change. There might be changes, there might not be so many changes, but it is for certain that something has changed, and we've reached a point in time where Atlassian mentioned that this was going to happen. And in order to find some kind of analogies, I've went into my history of reading, and I found out a few things about, that might be not, well, similar, but there's a point in time when things changed, and I found these two comic books, these two histories. Well, I found several, but the main ones, that I think that we can relate to, that I can relate to right now, are the following ones. So The first one would be Avengers Disassemble. I don't know if you're familiarized with comic books. Maybe Avengers, you know them by the Marvel movies and so on. But this event, this crossover event, because it's a crossover between many stories from different characters in Marvel, this story changed a lot of things. Avengers Disassemble, it's one of those moments in comic book history where things changed completely. They didn't know as well. We didn't know it was going to change. The disassemble thing right there in the title kind of made us think that something was going to happen, but a lot of stuff happened, and since then the Marvel universe at that point, back in 2004 I believe it was, changed a lot. This event was a changing point. Many Avengers died, and it was because of one thing. One thing that I'm not gonna spoil. I'm gonna try for you to check it out, and if you think the same, please let me know. Or if you have any other examples about changes that change the course of history, of changes that you can relate to, or you can create an analogy between the end of life of server, and your example, please let me know. It will be really good to know what you think about. Well, Avengers Disassemble, check it out. If you like reading it, go ahead. If you already read it, I bet that you know what I'm talking about. And this brings me to the next one. It's all about Marvel too. House of M. From Avengers Disassemble to House of M, some stuff happened, but House of M is another great approach to changes, to something that changes, to a point in time where everything is different, but it's not. So check it out. If you haven't checked House of M from Marvel, go ahead, because I bet that you're gonna say this is a little bit like that, but always in this kind of sense, in the imaginary sense, and in the fiction where there's a lot of mutants, and superheroes in the world. So it's pretty cool. It's quite entertaining, and you'll see a lot of relatable characters, and so on. So go check it out and let me know what you think. Now moving into movies, and let me know what you think. So now let's check. Let's talk a little bit about movies. When we talk about countdowns and things changing, and now with the AI surfacing, into the world, and being part of our daily tasks, and lives. It always comes to mind, one of the greatest movies for me that ever existed, and I'm talking about Terminator 2. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is one of the greatest movies for me, one of the greatest action movies, and it's all about that doomsday, the doomsday when everything, the apocalypse, the artificial intelligence apocalypse, where machines take a hold of the whole planet, and try to kill the whole human race. And it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where I cannot help but relate to it whenever I used to go to the countdown for the server End of Life. I don't know if you watch it, but if you watch it, I bet that you can see, that you can relate to it. But okay, in that sense of science fiction, with a lot of drama in it, and a lot of action too, and so on, and robots, and artificial with a lot of robots too and artificial intelligence and so on. But I believe, that the countdown to the Judgment Day, and the protagonists, the main characters of the movie, trying to avoid that, it's a little bit more scarier, and a little bit more dramatic than that. But it's a really cool movie that I always relate to whenever I come back to the to the end of life of Server. I don't know. You'll probably be thinking, Fede, that's too much. I know. I think it's too much, but it's difficult for me not to think about it. And I think that this is really, really, really cool. I think that it's relatable. At least for me, nothing's gonna explode. There's not gonna be any. But Server End of Life is right here. And I think that it's a really cool analogy. Well, and it brings me down to the Terminator 3. Well, remember Terminator 2? The Judgment Day didn't happen because the main character stopped it. John Connor, the T2, the Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. They managed to stop that Judgment Day that was going to happen back in that time. But the machines kept on going. And they rose, and this is Terminator 3, where the actual Doomsday was going to happen, and it happened, and they didn't manage to stop it. So it's another countdown movie. It's another movie where things change. They take a turn, and it's kind of cool. It's also, it's not the best movie. It's not. I don't think that this movie is not as good as Terminator 2. But it's nowhere close to Terminator 2. But it's entertaining, and also it's a little bit relatable to a countdown thing, a countdown moment. And last but not least, let's talk about a little bit video games. Recently, Sony has said that the PS3. Recently, Sony mentioned that the PS5 has entered the later stage of its life cycle. What? This is crazy. It's been, how long it's been? I believe that it's been 3 years since I bought it. I bought it as soon as it came out, and it's like, dude, well, it's too short of a lifespan, isn't it? I don't know what you think, but I think that it's too short. So they're deciding that it's entering the later stage of its life cycle. This is crazy, because I can relate to the end of life of Server, like, for sure. We know that this console is gonna be there. But Sony's saying that they're gonna move on, to the next one. Like, I believe that they're working on it. I bet that they're working on it already. And at some point in the next few years, but short years, at some point in the near future, they're gonna start pushing the new PlayStation, PS6, for example. I don't know what's it gonna be named, but it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm a little bit sad, but I'm a little bit glad too, because that means that we're entering a new generation of consoles. But man, this is crazy, and this is something that it's directly relatable. I think so. If you don't think so, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know. Write to me and tell me, no, this is not. But I believe that it's a little bit relatable. So I don't know. This is crazy. This is another thing. So we'll probably start a countdown for the PS5 end of life too, and we'll be jumping from countdown to countdowns. So that's it. Life is what goes by when passing from countdown to countdown. So that's it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from my analogies. I hope that the server that I hope that the server apocalypse, as the Jira Live guys called it, was good for you, was okay for you. I don't know. Everything's gonna be moving on as it was, and we are going to work as we were, but we're ending a cycle, and it's a little bit sad, but we're happy that things evolve and that things carry on. So I hope that you like this video, and at some point or somehow it helped you. And I'll see you in the next episode. So be there, and thank you very much. Bye bye. Until next week.